Hey guys, my name is Allison and today I am so excited to finally get to my April wrap-up / May TBR video. I am waiting until the absolute last minute like normal to film this. It is April 30th right now, so I have a lot to cover in this video, so we're just kind of gonna just jump right into it. So I read some really cool books in April, which I am very excited about because my reading lately has been kind of meh, so I was really excited to read some really amazing books. Let's see, let's just dive into it. We're just gonna get started. So the first book I read in April was, I have my handy dandy book cart here that is helping me hold all of my books. The first book I read in April was To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. I ended up giving this one 4.5 out of 5 stars because I really liked, I liked so much about this book. I really liked the characters. I actually enjoyed having a female main character, which is odd for me because normally it either takes me a really long time to warm up to them or I just am not a fan altogether. So I enjoyed that the main character in this book, Crier, was fun to journey alongside with in this book. This is an adult sci-fi and it is, did I say who it was written by? It was written by Christopher Paolini, who a long time ago wrote the, listen to me, a long time ago. It wasn't a long time ago. It was like in the early 2000s. He published the Inheritance cycle. So those are YA fantasy. But this is a adult sci-fi and it's really good. I really liked it. There's a lot of interesting things that happen in this book. There is alien races, there is a interstellar race to get something. There's just so much stuff going on in here. There is a ship in this book where most of the book actually takes place, and it's called the Wallfish, and it is piloted by none other than Falcone, or Coney, however you say his name. I think it's Falcone. But I really liked him. He was a really likable character, and there are these things called ship mines, and they are kind of like, if you take like typical sci-fi, like usually a ship is run by an AI. Well, in this book they're run by ship mines, and it's basically a person who gave up their physical body to just basically be a giant brain. Which sounds really creepy and weird, and I am still a little bit creeped out by it, but there is a ship mind in this book named Gregorovich, and he is absolutely hilarious. He's a little on the unstable side, so if you have read the Illuminate Files by J. Christoph and Amy Kaufman, the thing that runs the ship in that book is actually an AI, but it is also a little kooky. I don't know why, but I always assigned that AI a male gender. I'm not really sure why. Every time it talked, I heard it in a male voice. I don't know why. My husband heard it in a female voice, so you could take that however you would like. So anyways, that is sidetracking. I really liked Gregorovich in this book. I think my favorites were Falcone or Greg. Greg's easier to say. I really liked, I don't know, I liked the actual ending. I thought it was perfect, and it really followed Paolini's typical ending that he has in his books. So if you finish the Inheritance cycle, then you're kind of looking at the same kind of ending to be happening in this one, just, you know, sci-fi version. I still thought it was really good. There were a couple of things that I didn't like. Mainly the words that were used, but that's mostly my own fault, and that's just because they were super unfamiliar. I am not someone who's read a lot of adult sci-fi, so I don't know all of the like terms that most people would consider normal, but thankfully in the back of this book there's so much stuff. There's appendices in the back of here, and I think there's like 3 of them, but one of them is like a glossary of terms, so I was looking at that quite often while reading, so that anytime something was brought up that I didn't understand, I could just look at it and it would literally tell me what it was and be like, oh, that makes so much more sense. So that is very helpful. Other than that, I don't know, the pacing was really good. I feel like I have talked about this in my weekly check-in video, so I don't want to spend like a super huge amount of time talking about it here, but yeah, I really like this book. And for like a week, it hovered between 4.5 and 5 stars, but I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. If it was a series, I know it's really big, but if it was a starter to a series, I actually might have given it 5 stars, because then I would know that the story was going to continue beyond this book, but it is a standalone, so I think that's why I gave it 4.5 stars. But anyways, I really enjoyed this one. I recommend it to anybody who likes sci-fi. I don't know, I'm not very good at book recommendations either, so if you try it and you don't like it, I am sorry. I am not perfect, okay? The next book that I read was The Bright and the Pale by Jessica Rubinkowski. This is a very slim book that I read all in one sitting, and I talked about this in a weekly check-in as well. If you guys want a more in-depth look at how I felt about the book, or you know, that kind of thing, you can check out my weekly check-ins. I'm going to turn it into a playlist so they're just easier to find, because I don't want to spend, like, I don't want to like repeat myself a lot. So you can find my discussion about this book in one of those videos. I will try to, I think it was the first one I did, so I will try to link that in the description box, but I'm gonna just turn that into a playlist so you guys can just go there and figure out whatever it is you want to watch. So I can't remember what I gave this. I think I gave this one 3 stars. It is the first book in a duology. It is YA fantasy. I don't know, I really liked it. It was a quick read, it was enjoyable, and I guess it got 3 stars because it was a quick read, and it didn't require a lot of like really deep thinking to understand what was going on, so I really enjoyed that about it as well. The next book is, here it is, The Raven and the Dove by Caitlin Davis. This was a book that I buddy read with my friend Brianna. This was a reread for me. It was her first time reading, but I was reading it with her because we're going to buddy read the whole series together, and it had been such a long time since I read this one. I was like, I might as well just read it again to refresh my memory, and I am not sure if that was a good decision on my part or not. I actually ended up rating it a whole star lower than my original rating, and I think it's because I read this literally right when it came out, so it's been over a year since I read it, and I really don't read or care for a lot of YA fantasy anymore, so rereading this, like, once I was, you know, I probably should have just reread like the last, I don't know, 50 pages or something to like catch me up to what happened at the end of the book, because that's really all I couldn't remember. I remembered everything else that happened. It's a really good book. I just didn't enjoy it as much the second time around as I did the first time, and that's just because like you only need to read it really once to like really get it. So I'm still glad that I read it, even though I didn't enjoy it quite as much as I did the first time, and I really am just I don't know, I'm just gonna blame my losing my interest in the YA genre, just because that's just what I'm gonna blame my lower enjoyment of this book on. So anyways, I don't want to talk you guys out of reading this book because it's actually a really good book. Like, there's forbidden romance, star-crossed lovers trope, there's so many awesome things that are going on in here. Like, if you could see the cover, like, the people that are in it have wings. They're not angels, it's an avian based magic, and it's really, really good. I really liked it. Let's see, there were a couple of issues with pacing. I must have read this like in 2 days the last time I read it, because this time it took me like a week and I felt like it took a really long time. Like, there were some parts where I was like, oh my gosh, come on, can we move on to something else? And then other times I was like, whoa, that went way too fast. Like, can we back up? Can we like dig into this a little bit deeper? So there are those things that bothered me a little bit, but other than that, it's a really solid book. I really, really enjoyed it. The first time I didn't enjoy it as much the second time, but that's okay. It just means that I am changing as a reader, which is always a good thing. And then the last book I have on here, I finally finished it. I finally finished The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. And the only reason I finished this book is because I found an audiobook edition of this by Phil Daglish. I'm not sure how to say his name, but he's from the UK, I'm pretty sure, and he did audiobooks of the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, and they're like fan made, so he like doesn't get paid to have these audiobooks, because he uses he does all of the characters' voices, but he uses audio, like music from the trilogy, the movies, and I think that is amazing because it really like brought on the nostalgia for me, and it got me really like into the movie or into the audiobook. I could just envision it. I'm like, okay, this is where they're at. Like, it would bring parts of the movies to my mind, and it just like increased the experience a lot. Like, so I was listening to the characters, and then the music from the movies would pull scenes from the movies into my memory, and I would be like experiencing it as a memory and then also experiencing it as an audiobook. It was just really, really cool. I will link that where that is available below in the description box. And yeah, it's fan made, so he doesn't get paid for this, and he spent, I don't know, 5 or 6 years putting this together. Like, and when you're listening to it, you'd be like, oh, I got, like, he missed editing that spot out. Like, you can tell that he did it all by himself, that he didn't have an editor that was making sure that everything turned out perfectly, because, I mean, it's not perfect, we're all human, so, but it's really, really, really good. If you love the movies and you love the books and you kind of want to marry those together, I would recommend listening to his version, because it's word for word, it's not abridged, which is another thing that I absolutely loved about it, because I did not want an abridged or like dramatized version of the book, because I've tried listening to an abridged version and it's just horrible. Like, they leave so much stuff out, and I'm like, I don't even want to do this. So I was really, really thankful to find that, and also to have it be available for free. I mean, come on, that's amazing. I wish I could pay him for his work, because it's so amazing. Anyways, I'm gonna stop rambling about this book. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars because I love it, it's dear to my heart, and it's one of my absolute favorite fantasies of all time ever, because it just is. So I'm gonna stop talking about this book. So that is all of the books that I read in the month of April. The next few things I'm going to talk about are DNFs and Unhauls, and then book hauls. So, and I'm going to go over these really quickly because I did talk about these in one of my weekly check-in videos, but just briefly, I did DNF one book this month, and that was the Left-Handed Booksellers of London, and I DNF'd it because it was not my cup of tea, and it is officially DNF'd. I'm not ever going to come back to it. It's a YA magical realism, kind of, written by Garth Nix, and I really so much wanted to enjoy this book. I really, really wanted to enjoy this book, but I did not. It is not about what I thought it was about. I thought it was going to be about gangster booksellers because, I mean, on the cover there's knives and guns and such, and I thought it was going to be about, like, you know, the Godfather version, like books, secret booksellers that are like gangsters, and I thought I was really looking forward to it, and then it just ended up being a really weirdly written book about like all the ancient mythical, like, think of any kind of fairy tale that's really, really old. Like, there were gremlins and weird things that like had a presence but not a body, and there was like all this talk about like you had to stay on these paths and all this weird stuff where if you stepped off of it you would get eaten or something like that, and it was just really, really, really traditional fairy tale type stuff, which I don't mind. It's not my favorite because I think it's freaking creepy for the most part, but it's just, I don't know. I did not like the main character at all. I thought she was horribly dull. I just didn't like her. And then there was another character who was really cool. His name was Merlin, and he was one of those left-handed booksellers, and he is super quirky. If I could have been okay with the writing style, I probably would have read it just for Merlin's sake because he's really funny, but I just couldn't handle it, and I was like, you know what, I have so many books that I want to read and not enough time to read them. I'm not going to make myself read a book that I'm not enjoying, even if it is a short one. So that was my DNF for the month. My Unhauls, so I only have a physical copy of one of these, and that is A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne Brown, and I unhauled this one because I did some Goodreads research, figured out it's not going to be for me, and also because it's YA. I just really am not in the mood for YA books anymore. I just can't I can't do it anymore, guys. So you're going to be seeing a lot less YA content from me, unless of course it is a reread of one of my favorite books, which I really don't have that many. I mean, Harry Potter, the Illuminae Files, maybe. That might be the only like YA type stuff you'll see on here. There might be a couple of other things, but anyways, I unhauled this one, and then the other ones I unhauled were Foundryside and Shorefall by Robert Jackson Bennett. I'll pop up a picture either over here or over here so you guys can see those. They are, Foundryside is the first book, Shorefall is the second book. The third book has not been released yet, and I did some Goodreads research on these and decided these are also not going to be my cup of tea. And then the other books that I unhauled were the Cursebreakers Trilogy by Brigid Kemmerer, and I unhauled the Fairy Loot editions that I had. So like I didn't like unhaul them unread or anything. I have already read all of those, but I decided, I don't remember if I talked about this on my channel or not, but I read the last book in the trilogy and it was a huge disappointment. Worse than the second book, and I'm only going to be keeping the first book because I think that's the best one and it's the one I really like, and I can reread it without having to worry about rereading the whole trilogy because it's literally not even connected to the other two books, which is super disappointing. So I'm just going to be keeping a regular old edition of the first book, which is A Curse So Dark and Lonely, and then I unhauled the Fairy Loot editions that I had. So those are the rest of my unhauls. Books that I hauled were just two. I just hauled two books and I already read one of them, so that's really nice. The first one was Bone Crier's Dawn by Catherine Purdy. This is the sequel to Bone Crier's Moon. This is the Fairy Loot edition. It's got, let's see, silvery, shimmery edges, and then a really pretty dark cover. I don't remember what the original cover looked like, but these are our two main characters in this book, I do believe. It matches really well with the original edition, or the Fairy Loot edition of the first book, and it's signed, and it has pretty end papers. I don't know, it's just a really beautiful book, and I am planning to buddy read this one with my friend Brianna at some point. We don't know when exactly we're going to, but it will happen. And then the other book I have already talked about, and that is The Bright and the Pale. This is also another Fairy Loot edition. You can see these beautiful light blue sprayed edges, super, super pretty. This one I'll actually show you. Came with artwork on the dust jacket. So this is the artwork. It's really pretty. I can't remember, I cannot remember the artist of this artwork, and that makes me feel really horrible. I can't remember. It looks really familiar though. I can't remember if it's Bloody Dammit or I don't remember. I will try to link that below in the description box as well. But like I already said, I really enjoyed this book, and it's always nice to get a brand new book and then just read it immediately, because then it's not on your TBR and then you don't have to have it stressing you out like my unread books stress me out. Okay, so that is my April wrap-up, and that's probably the majority of this video. My May TBR is going to be hopefully somewhat quicker. So my first book on my May TBR is Dune. I'm so excited. Actually, I can't say I'm so excited because I actually already started this book. Since I finished my April TBR a little bit early, I started reading this one, and right now I'm on page 110. This book took me a little bit to like get used to the writing style because it's very different from what I'm used to. This is an adult sci-fi. I guess you could say it's YA. Maybe at this point it's YA, but I really don't think it ends up being YA. I mean, this was written back before YA was even our genre, so there's that. It was originally published in 1965. So this is just like a really pretty new edition of it that I really, really, really like. But I don't know, it took me a while to get into the writing, but on page, I can't remember what page it was, probably page 80-ish, around that point, I was like, I really like this book. I think I can read this, because at one point I was like, if this whole book is this hard to read, I really don't want to read it, but everybody loves it. Okay, I can't say everybody, but most people that have read this book really like it. Like, it's one of Mike's top favorite sci-fi books. Like, I have to read this book. There's just no way I can't read this book. So and then I got to that point and I was like, this is really, really good. I need to know more about this planet they're on and these people that live here. And I need to know all of these things, and I need someone to explain this cover to me. So I just got really excited about it, and literally all I want to do right now is sit down and read it, but I can't because I'm standing here talking to you lovely people. So yeah, when I get done filming and editing though, I'm gonna be sitting down with this bad boy, probably with a bowl of popcorn, and I'm gonna be reading and snacking at the same time. So this is my first book of May, and well, April and May because I started it early, but you know, it's like a 600-page book, so I figured I should get a head start on it. Bonus points that I'm enjoying it so much. Okay, the next book, and I did not know this, but I apparently have like 3 rereads on my TBR for this month. The next one is Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. I did already start this book once in February, I think, and I just I wasn't in the mood for it, and I was like, I am not gonna make myself read one of my absolute favorite books or my favorite series if I'm not enjoying it, because I didn't want to ruin my feelings for it. This Red Rising is literally one of my most favorite series ever. I love it so much. So I didn't want to like mar my emotions about it, my feelings about it when reading it, when I'm really not I wasn't in the mood for it. So I've added it back to my May TBR. We will see if I actually get to this one or not. Let's see, this is the second book in the Red Rising series, and there's really not that much I can say about it without like spoiling stuff for the first book, so I'm just looking forward to getting back into this one. The next book I have on my list is another reread, and this is The Mime Order by Samantha Shannon. This is another one of my really favorite series. Can't say that it's like a top favorite because there's still like 3 more books that need to come out for this series to be completed. So I think this is probably my favorite book in the series right now. I have not read the 4th book yet, so, which is why I'm rereading these ones. This one is the second one, and this is the one that made me really like the main character. In the first book, I really didn't care for her all that much, but then I reread the first book and I was like, well, now that I know all of this stuff that happens after this, I like her so much more. And then I think this book was the book that sold me on the series, and I just really, really liked it. So I am also excited to get into this because I really want to read that new book, and I can't do it until I read these because I literally can't remember anything that happened because apparently I read them way too fast. So that is the next book. Let's see, that's the 3rd book. The 4th book is The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien, and I also plan to listen to this on audio. I'm going to listen to Phil Daglish's audiobook on this one, and this one is a lot smaller than The Fellowship. I can't like tell you how many pages it is because it starts on page 511, because these are technically, The Lord of the Rings is 1 book, not 3 books. It's just for the ease of reading, it has been split into 3 books, so I can't tell you how many pages this one actually has. I just know that it's a lot thinner than The Fellowship. Like, for reference, this is The Two Towers. It's a lot thinner than The Fellowship of the Ring. So, but I plan to listen to it on audio anyways, so that really doesn't matter, and I will be doing that while I'm doing some work for my Etsy shop. And then the last book I have on my list is The Hunter and the Mage by Caitlin Davis. This is the sequel to The Raven and the Dove, and it is also our scheduled buddy read for the month. Me and my friend Brianna are going to read this month, and I'm really excited because I just need to freaking know what happens after the first book ended, and then, yeah, I have lots of questions, and I need the magic to be explained more, and I need, like, the world to be explained more. I just need more everything. The first book was a really good series starter. I feel like it probably, I'm probably gonna feel that this book and the first book could have been combined, but because they are YA, I know they try to keep those books a little bit on the smaller side. Unless you're like J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter is really big, like the Order of the Phoenix is really big. Anyways, for the most part, YA books are usually a lot smaller than adult books, which is okay. It's not my favorite thing. I really like big books, okay? I can't lie about that. So, anyways, getting back to this book, I really need to know what happens to our poor characters after the end of the first book. And that's all I'm gonna say, because I can't say anything else about it without spoiling, and also I have not read any synopses or anything for this, so I have no idea what the heck happens. So I can't say anything on that front either. So that, oh, and then there is one more thing I wanted to talk about, which is the new release that is coming out in May. I don't normally talk about new releases, and that is usually because there's just not that many that I want to get for some reason. But there is one that I want to get next month, and it is called Son of the Storm. I will pop up a picture of it, and I am not going to say the author's name because I will probably murder it. So, you can I'll put it in the description box, and you guys can check the picture out, and hopefully you guys can read it better than I can, because I know I'm not going to be able to say it properly. And I have already pre-ordered this book, so I am excited to get it. It's really, 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 really pretty. I'm not sure if it's YA or not. I was thinking it was adult, but it might be YA. I am not 100% sure on that one. But anyways, that's just another book that I'm looking forward to reading, and I think that one might, if I get it in May, the place I pre-ordered it from, they are sometimes a little bit slow on shipping, which everybody is right now because of COVID, but if I do get it in the month of May, I might add it to my May TBR, just because I have a lot of rereads. I have 3 rereads on my TBR, and sometimes I just need something new in between each book. Otherwise, if I read too many rereads, or if I try to like binge read a series, it will literally put me in a book slump, and I really don't want to be in another book slump because I just got out of one, and I really just want to avoid that at all costs. So that is my plan for the month of May. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you had fun, and I hope to see you guys in another video, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys in another one. Bye!